In today's lecture, we will be discussing the importance of Minimum Wages Act. Then we will discuss the scope and its applicability. Okay. With that, we will discuss the minimum wages, how they are determined. Okay. So let's see what are the importance of Minimum Wages Act. Prior to we discuss the importance of Minimum Wages Act, let's go through what is Minimum Wages Act. ओके, तर हे जे काम करतात, ओके, हे जे मजूर किंवा हे जे कामगार काम करतात, जर त्यांनी काम केलं नाही तर तुमची जी प्रोडक्शन ॲक्टिव्हिटी आहे, म्हणजेच तुमच्या ऑर्गनायझेशनची प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस जी आहे ती कंप्लीट होऊ शकणार नाही. त्यामुळेच ओके, जेव्हा आपण ह्या व्यक्तीला एखादं काम देतो तेव्हाच त्या कामाबद्दल त्याला आपण मोबदला देतो आणि त्या मोबदलेलाच त्या मोबदल्यालाच काय म्हटलं जातं, इंग्लिशमध्ये वेज असं म्हटलं जातं. ओके, आता बघा, एक 50-60 वर्षापूर्वीची गोष्ट जेव्हा कोणत्याही प्रकारचे कायदे नव्हते, ओके, किंवा कोणत्याही प्रकारे जे कामगार आहेत किंवा जे मजूर आहेत ते इलिटरेट असल्यामुळे, अशिक्षित असल्यामुळे त्यांच्यावरती एक्सप्लॉयटेशन व्हायचं. म्हणजे काय व्हायचं बघा, की हे जे मजूर आहेत किंवा हे जे कामगार आहेत ते दिवस जवळजवळ 20-20 तास, 18-18 तास काम करायचे आणि 18 ते 20 तास काम करूनसुद्धा ओके त्यांना जे वेजेस मिळायचे ते खूपच कमी असायचे. जे ओके 2-3 तास काम करणाऱ्या व्यक्तीला मिळाले पाहिजेत तेवढे वेजेस त्यांना 18-18 तास काम करूनसुद्धा मिळत नव्हते. ओके, याच्यामुळे काय व्हायचं की कुठेतरी हे जे मजूर आहेत त्यांचं शोषण होतं, एक्सप्लॉयटेशन होतं आहे. हे जे ट्रेड युनियन्स आहेत, कामगार संघटना जे आहेत, त्या सर्वांना ते कळालं. ओके, किंवा बघा, जेव्हा आपण वेजेसचा विचार करतो, वेजेस प्रत्येक व्यक्ती जो फॅक्टरीमध्ये काम करतो त्याला युनिफॉर्म वेजेस मिळतात का, म्हणजे एकसारखे वेजेस मिळतात का, नाही. ओके, बघा, काही वर्कर्स जे आहेत त्या वर्कर्सचं सुद्धा रिक्लासिफिकेशन केलं जातं. बघा, जे ब्लू कलर वर्कर्स आहेत त्यांचंसुद्धा रिक्लासिफिकेशन केलं जातं. कसं केलं जातं, 3 प्रकारे केलं जातं. ओके, कोणते आहेत ते 3 प्रकार, स्किल्ड वर्कर्स, अनस्किल्ड वर्कर्स अँड सेमी स्किल्ड वर्कर्स. ओके, so when we consider the reclassification of blue collar workers, okay, the blue collar workers, they are also divided into 3 parts. Okay, which are these 3 parts? Yes, the 3 parts itself are, okay, the 3 parts itself are, what are the 3 parts? Yes, the 3 parts itself are, yes, skilled laborers, semi-skilled laborers and unskilled laborers. Means the skilled laborers are those people who know everything or who are talented into the skills, or they have acquired many more skills which are required for the production activities. So we group these people into the title skilled workers. Okay, the second part is unskilled workers. Okay, the second part is unskilled workers. Okay, who are the unskilled workers? Yes, those people who lack in skills, and knowledge. Okay, they are grouped under the title unskilled laborers or unskilled workers. Okay, and the third part is semi-skilled workers. Okay, means 50-50. Okay, some of the skills they are having, some of the skills they are lagging behind. Okay, so when we consider these 3 types of workers, okay, that is skilled laborers, unskilled laborers and semi-skilled laborers. See, as per the skills which they have acquired or which they know, as per the skills which they have acquired and which they know, Okay, these people, what they do, yes, as per the skill which they have acquired, okay, these people usually are paid wages differently. Means what? Okay, the wages which are paid to these people, the wages which are paid to these people, it is different in the sense, okay, means the skilled laborers, they are highly paid, the semi skilled laborers, they are moderately paid, okay, and when we consider unskilled laborers, they are, yes, they are, the wages which are paid to them, they are lower or they are less. Okay, so when we consider such kind of discriminancy into the payment of wages, yes, so let's see what is the introduction of minimum wages act. See, the minimum wages act is to fix minimum wages to the workers, including skilled or unskilled workers in the industry. See, what is minimum wages act? Yes, minimum wages act is a act which is passed to fix, yes, to fix the minimum wages to the workers, including skilled or unskilled workers in the industry. Okay, see what happens. See, there is a discrepancy, right? There is a discrepancy made into the payment of wages. Is it? Means when we consider skilled laborers, when we consider unskilled laborers, when we consider semi skilled workers, is it? All these three workers, they are differently paid in some of the factories, okay, based on the skills, based on the knowledge, based on the target which they complete, okay, they are paid differently, okay. So when we come across minimum wages act, why minimum wages act? Yes, minimum wages act itself is passed to fix minimum wages to the workers, including skilled or unskilled workers in the industry. Means when we come across the minimum wages act, why minimum wages act? Yes, minimum wages act itself is passed to fix minimum wages to the workers, including skilled or unskilled workers in the industry. ओके, बघा, जेव्हा आपण मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्टचा विचार करतो, ओके, का मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्ट पास केलेला आहे, ओके, तर रिझन त्याच्यामागे एवढंच आहे की, ओके, जे स्किल्ड लेबरर्स आहेत, जे अनस्किल्ड लेबरर्स आहेत, त्यांना किमान ओके ठराविक मिनिमम वेजेस मिळावेत, ठराविक वेजेस मिळावेत, हाच उद्देश गृहीत धरून मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्ट पास केलेला आहे. ओके, द ॲक्ट केम इन टू फोर्स आफ्टर द वर्ल्ड वॉर सेकंड इन 1948. ओके, when this act came into force? Yes, the act came into force after World War II in 1948. Okay, India is one of the developing countries with a number of unemployed. Therefore, the employers exploit the manual laborers by fixing low wages, which is insufficient to meet their daily needs and medical expenses. Okay, see, when we consider our country India, yes, India is one of the developing country, okay, and when we consider the problems prevailing into our country, unemployment is one of the most severe problem. Okay, unemployment is the most severe problem into our country. Okay, so when it comes to unemployment, okay, and when we consider the mentality of the employers, okay, what employers do? Yes, the employers exploit the manual laborers by fixing low wages, which is insufficient to meet their daily needs and medical expenses. Okay, see, as we know, the techniques which are used for completing the production process, okay, it is also divided into two parts. Okay, you are aware about those two parts. First part is labor intensive technique and second one is capital intensive technique. So when we go through labor intensive technique and capital intensive technique, what is it? Yes, when we consider the labor intensive technique, okay, when we consider the labor intensive technique, okay, see, the countries, okay, the countries where the labor force, okay, the labor force, it is available in abundant quantity. Is it? Whenever we consider some of the countries where the labor force, that is the human resource, it is available in abundant quantity, okay, such type of countries, they focus on, okay, primarily they focus on labor intensive technique. Okay, getting it? Then the countries, okay, usually the developed countries, okay, where the human resources, they are available into limited quantity. The human resources, they are available into limited quantity. Such type of nations, they focus on capital intensive technique. Okay, means what? Okay, in labor intensive technique, what is done? Okay, more use of laborers for completing the production activity, it is done. Okay, and when we consider capital intensive technique, at the time, more use of technology, more use of machineries, it is used to complete the production activity. Getting it? Okay, so when we come across such type of techniques, okay, see, those countries in which population or human resources, they are abundant in quantity, like our country, is it, they usually focus on labor intensive technique. So as the employers, they know that, okay, the labor force is available in plenty of amount. Okay, what they do? Yes, they do exploit the laborers by paying minimum wages or by paying low wages. Okay, means they ask the laborers or the workers to work for long hours. Okay, they ask the laborers to work for long hours, and yes, then what they do? Yes, they pay less amount, is it, and they pay low wages such that, okay, they are that insufficient, okay, they can't meet the daily needs and medical needs of the workers. Okay, hence the legislature enacted a law to prohibit the payment of wages below the employee's subsistence level. Okay, so what the legislature did? Yes, the legislature, okay, enacted a law to prohibit, okay, to prohibit the payment of wages, okay, to prohibit the payment of wages, okay, getting it? So the wages provided by the employers to the workers should be following the Minimum Wages Act 1948. Okay, means any employer, if they have a question before them, okay, what is the question? The question is that, okay, how much the employer is supposed to be paid, okay, how much the employer is supposed to be paid, okay. If this is the question, okay, if this is the question before the employer, then what he should be doing? Yes, he should refer to Minimum Wages Act 1948. Okay, the act is considered to be a violation of Article 19(1)(g) of the Indian Constitution in the eyes of the employers. But the Supreme Court ruled that act is based on the directive principle of state policy provided under Article 43 of Indian Constitution. Okay, see, when we do consider minimum wages, what minimum wages means or why this act is passed, okay, का मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्ट पास झालेला आहे बघा, ओके ओके. ह्या ॲक्टनुसार मिनिमम वेज वर्कर्सला किती दिले पाहिजेत हे फिक्स केलं जातं. कारण की आधी काय व्हायचं तर जे स्किल्ड लेबरर्स आणि अनस्किल्ड लेबरर्स असतील, ओके, त्यांना जे वेजेस पे केले जायचे, ओके, त्याच्यामध्ये डिफरन्स व्हायचा, ओके. आणि हे जे अनस्किल्ड लेबरर्स आहेत, ओके, त्यांना जे वेजेस पे करायचे एम्प्लॉयर्स, ओके, ते इतके लो असायचे की त्यांना साधं त्यांचे हेल्थ और मेडिकल एक्सपेन्सेस जे असतील आणि जे बेसिक और डेली नीड्स असतील हे सुद्धा त्या वेजेसच्या अमाऊंटमधून एक्सपेंड करता यायचं नाही, ओके. म्हणून 1948मध्ये, ओके, वर्ल्ड वॉर सेकंड नंतर 1948मध्ये हे जे ॲक्ट आहे मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्ट, तो ॲक्ट अस्तित्वात आला, ओके. बघा, जेव्हा आपण आपल्या भारताचा विचार करतो, आपल्या देशाचा विचार करतो, तेव्हा, ओके, भारत एक डेव्हलपिंग कंट्री आहे, ओके. आणि एक प्रॉब्लेम जो आपल्या कंट्रीमध्ये प्रिव्हिलिंग आहे तो म्हणजे अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट. कारण की जेव्हा आपण लेबर फोर्स किंवा पॉप्युलेशनचा विचार करतो, ॲज इट लोकसंख्येचा जेव्हा विचार करतो, ओके, भारताची लोकसंख्या फार असल्यामुळे, ओके, ह्युमन रिसोर्स किंवा लेबरर्सची अवेलेबिलिटीसुद्धा तेवढीच आहे, ओके. त्यामुळे हे जे एम्प्लॉयर्स आहेत त्यांना माहिती आहे की काही झालं तर लेबर फोर्स आपल्याला ॲडेक्वेट अमाऊंटमध्ये, ॲज इट ॲबंडंट अमाऊंटमध्ये मिळणार आहे. त्यामुळे ते काय करतात की लेबरर्सची अपॉइंटमेंट करतात आणि त्यांना जे मजुरी म्हणजेच वेजेस जी पे केली जाते ती खूपच कमी असते, ओके. ज्या अमाऊंटमधून ते साधं त्यांचे मेडिकल एक्सपेन्सेस जे असतील आणि जे, ओके, डेली एक्सपेन्सेस असतील हे सुद्धा ते व्यवस्थित करू शकत नाहीत, ओके. त्यामुळे लेजिस्लेचरने हा जो लॉ आहे मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्ट हा एस्टॅब्लिश केला, ओके. जेणेकरून, ओके, जे वेजेस त्या स्किल्ड ॲज वेल ॲज अनस्किल्ड वर्कर्सला मिळतील ते ॲटलिस्ट त्याला जेवढे हवेत किंवा त्याला जेवढे गरजेचे आहेत तेवढे तरी मिळावे या अपेक्षेने, ओके. म्हणजे समजा एखाद्या एम्प्लॉयरच्या समोर समजा हा क्वेश्चन असेल, म्हणजे किती वेजेस पे करावेत हा जर क्वेश्चन त्याच्या मनामध्ये असेल तर त्याने काय करायचं आहे की मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्ट 1948 जे आहे ते रेफर करायचं आहे. सो लेट्स सी द हिस्ट्री ऑफ ॲक्ट. In 1919, the International Labour Organization highlighted the importance of minimum wages as a part of Treaty of Versailles. Okay, the concept of minimum wages was evolved to protect the workers against exploitation by the employers. Okay, the workers get wages substantially low when compared to other industry workers. Hence, it became a crisis between the workers. So, why Minimum Wages Act is important? See, minimum wages have been defined as the minimum amount of remuneration that an employer is required to pay wage earners for the work performed during a given period, which cannot be reduced by collective agreement or an individual contract. Okay, see, when it comes to minimum wages, what minimum wages is? Okay, when we do consider minimum wages, what minimum wages is all about? See, minimum wages means the basic wage which is to be paid to the employee by the employer so that he can surely look to, or he can surely do the expenditure which is needed. Okay, so when it comes to minimum wages, okay, minimum wages means what? Yes, minimum wages means the minimum amount of remuneration that an employer is required to pay wage earner for the work performed during a given period, which cannot be reduced by collective agreement or an individual contract. Okay, see, why a person yes, this person works with you. Yes, the motive behind it is that, okay, the motive behind it is that surely, okay, the person, the wage earner, okay, to make his livelihood itself, yes, to make his livelihood itself, such kind of so to make his livelihood itself, okay, this person, he works with you, isn't it? So when it comes to minimum wages, yes, it is the minimum amount of remuneration. Yes, it is the minimum amount of remuneration which is to be paid by the employer to the employee, okay, so as that person, through that amount, whichever, okay, through that amount whichever you are paying to your employee, okay, through the amount whichever you are paying to your employee, yes, he can surely make, yes, he can surely make all the expenses, okay, whichever he is required to do, okay, related to his family and he himself, okay, getting it? So the employee, okay, the employee, whenever he is working, okay, whenever he is working for a period of time, okay, for that period, whenever he is, okay, whenever he is giving his efforts toward the accomplishment of company's goal, Okay, what the employer is supposed to do? Yes, the employer is supposed to pay some that minimum amount to him as a remuneration. Okay, so that what happens is, yes, the wage earner, he will be satisfied through the activity of the employer. Okay, so minimum wages means the minimum amount of remuneration that an employer is required to pay the wage earner for the work performed during a given period. Okay, which cannot be reduced by collective agreement or an individual contract. Okay, so the purpose of minimum wages is to protect workers against unduly low pay. They help ensure a just and equitable share of the fruits of progress to all and a minimum living wage to all who are employed and in need of such protection. Okay, see, the purpose of minimum wages is to protect workers against unduly low pay. Okay, they help ensure a just and equitable share of the fruits of progress to all. Okay, what it means, see, through such type of minimum wages, okay, through such type of minimum wages, a protection is given to the workers. Yes, because what happens when we consider this worker, when we consider this worker, yes, many of the time this worker, yes, this worker, he is not able to get the basic wage, is it, due to the unskillfulness into him. Okay, and many of the time if he is not able to work for a specific duration, okay, if he is not able to work for a specific duration, then what happens? Yes, surely it results into, yes, dissatisfaction among the laborer, because yes, it is not possible for him to make his livelihood. So at least the minimum living wage means what? Yes, at least what is required by him to do his living, at least that much, the employee should be giving to the, should be given by the employer. Okay, so a kind of protection is given through this. Yes, a kind of protection is given through this. Minimum wages can also be one element of a policy to overcome poverty and reduce inequality, including those between men and women, by promoting the right to get equal remuneration for work of equal value. Okay, so when it comes to, yes, when it comes to minimum wages, yes, okay, through minimum wages act, no difference should be made between the payment of remuneration for the work having the equal value. Okay, this is focused on. Okay, this is focused on. Then the scope and its applicability. Okay, when we consider the minimum wages act, when we consider the minimum wages act, okay, the act applies to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, what is the applicability of this act? Yes, it is applicable to whole of India, okay, including Jammu and Kashmir. The provision of Minimum Wages Act 1948 are applicable to every employer that employs more than 1000 employees in a state. Okay, see, it is compulsory to the employer, yes, to follow the provisions of Minimum Wages Act 1948, okay, where he employs more than 1000 employees in a state. The provisions of the Act do not apply to the employees undertaken by the central government or railway unless the same has been consented by the central government. Okay, see, this act, Minimum Wages Act, yes, it is applicable to whole of India including Jammu and Kashmir also. Okay, and who is supposed to follow the provisions of Minimum Wages Act? Yes, where 1000 employees work, okay, here we are required to follow the provisions of Minimum Wages Act. Okay, getting it? The provisions of the act do not apply to the employees undertaken by the central government or railway unless the same has been consented by the central government. Okay, getting it? बघा, जेव्हा आपण मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्टचा विचार करतो, जेव्हा आपण मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्टचा विचार करतो, काय महत्त्वाचं आहे? ओके, हा ॲक्ट जो आहे, मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्ट जो आहे, तो पूर्ण भारताला ॲप्लिकेबल आहे. ओके, अँड जम्मू अँड काश्मीरला सुद्धा तो ॲप्लिकेबल आहे. ओके, गेटिंग इट? जिथे 1000पेक्षा जास्त एम्प्लॉईज काम करतात, ओके, जिथे 1000पेक्षा जास्त एम्प्लॉईज काम करतात, अशा ठिकाणी मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्टचे जे प्रोविजन्स आहेत ते फॉलो करणं गरजेचंच आहे. ओके, देन the provisions of the act, they do not apply to the employees of central government or railway. बघा, जेव्हा आपण इम्पॉर्टन्स बघतो मिनिमम वेजेस ॲक्टचे, काय इम्पॉर्टंट आहेत मिनिमम वेजेस? बिकॉज याच्यामुळे काय होतं? येस, याच्यामुळे तुम्ही एम्प्लॉईज लाईक प्रोटेक्शन मिळतं बघा. इज इट? या प्रोटेक्शनमध्ये काय केलं जातं? मिनिमम वेजेस म्हणजे जे लिव्हिंग वेजेस म्हणतो, म्हणजे त्या व्यक्तीला जगण्यापुरतं जेवढे वेजेस लागतात किंवा त्याचे नीड्स भागवण्यासाठी जेवढे लागतात वेजेस, इज इट, ते देण्याची प्रोव्हिजन हे ॲक्ट थ्रू केलेली आहे. इज इट? ज्याला इज इट सगळ्यांनी फॉलो करणं गरजेचं आहे. ओके, so how the minimum wages are determined? According to, yes, Minimum Wages Act, yes, following criteria is adopted. Okay, there are 3 methods Okay, or there are three criteria. First is time rate, second is piece rate, then it is overtime. Okay, time rate. What is time rate? The minimum rate is fixed according to the duration of the work done by the laborer. Okay, see what happens here. Yes, as per the duration of the work done by the labor, as per the duration of work done by labor, okay, the minimum rate is fixed. Okay, means how many time or how much time this worker works for that long hours, such type of, yes, minimum rate is fixed. Okay, that is called as time rate. Then piece rate. What is piece rate? Yes, piece rate means here the minimum wage is fixed by the total number of pieces manufactured in the factory. Okay, then overtime rate. Here the minimum rate is fixed by the overtime done by the labor regardless of the time or piece rate. See what is done here. Yes, the minimum rate is fixed by overtime done by the labor regardless of the time. See, what are these three methods? See, in the first, for how much time the worker is working, based on that the wage rate is fixed. For example, 10 to 6, is it? Say from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. if your worker works, then the fixed wage will be given to him, is it? Such type of provisions, they are included in time rate. Okay, some of the factories, they do adopt this. Okay, but there are some advantages as well as disadvantages of the said method. For example, if your laborer is unskilled, or if your laborer is lazy, then the productivity which you expect, it might not be, yes, you might not get the productivity what you are expecting. Okay, the second thing, piece rate. What is piece rate? Piece rate here means the minimum wage is fixed by the total number of pieces which is manufactured or which is produced by that person. Okay, as per the pieces which are produced by by this person, as per the pieces which are produced by this person. Okay, yes, the minimum wage is fixed. Means how many pieces he produces or what are the targets which he completes. Okay, that is included in piece rate. Okay, getting it? Then overtime rate. Here the minimum rate is fixed by the overtime done by the labor regardless of the time or piece rate. Okay, the overtime means in excess to the time which is fixed or specified. If a worker works for more period of time. Yes, it will be treated as OT, that is overtime. Okay, so this can also be a rate. बघा, टाईम रेट, पीस रेट आणि ओव्हरटाईम रेट असे 3 रेट्स आहेत. काय आहेत ते? टाईम रेट म्हणजे तो किती कालावधीसाठी काम करतो, किती आवर्स आहेत ते स्पेसिफाय केले जाते. पीस रेट, ओके, किती तो युनिट्स प्रोड्यूस करतो, किती टार्गेट्स तो अचीव करू शकतो, त्याच्यावरती पीस रेट अवलंबून आहे. नंतर ओव्हरटाईम रेट. ओव्हरटाईम रेट म्हणजे काय? ओके, बघा, जास्त कालावधीसाठी, समजा जे आवर्स स्पेसिफाय केलेत त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त कालावधीसाठी जर तो काम करत असेल तर ते कशामध्ये येईल? ओव्हरटाईम रेटमध्ये येईल. ओके.